You're watching Seattle Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. It is mailbag time. Some people would say it is time to touch our bags and drop our sacks on this edition of Seahawks Today. And I've already taken a sneak peek at the mailbag. You guys are asking me about Trey Hendrickson. I also saw Quay Walker in there. We'll go over those rumors. We'll answer your questions and more coming up starting right now. Let's begin with a $100 super chat from Pablo Domingo, who writes in, Tyler Jones. Hi. If you was the general manager of the Seattle Seahawks, wouldn't that be great? That'd be a fantastic GM. What would you do at 18th overall? Josh Connerly from Oregon, Cameron Williams from Texas, Logan Brown from Kansas, or Josh Simmons from Ohio State? Pablo, first off, thanks for the $100 super chat. You're a real one. Salute to you. If you're giving me those four options, even though I went to Kansas, rock chalk, I do like Logan Brown, but I don't have a first-round grade on him. Cameron Williams, I don't have a first-round grade on either. So then I got to choose between Connerly and Simmons. And I like Simmons, but there's some injury concerns. So at that point, I guess I'm going with Josh Connerly as the pick. I prefer Kelvin Banks or Gray Zabel over Connerly or Simmons. I also would like to have Tyler Booker. But of the options you presented, I'll go with Josh Connerly from Oregon as the selection if you make me choose between those that you selected there. But the main priority is get offensive line help. And whether it's a guard or a tackle, we're going to figure it out. We're going to put the best five guys out there and go from there. But you're right on. You're on the right track, Pablo, of getting help on the offensive line with that first-round pick at 18. Myron with a $5 super chat. Let's go, Myron. Isn't there two offensive tackles from the Browns that are available? Sign them both. P.S. How was the Final Four? I had a great time at the Final Four. Myron, thank you for asking. Enjoyed myself in San Antonio. I'll be honest. Charles Barkley, he talks all the time about the big old women in San Antonio. I didn't see too many of them in actuality. And the reason why, it was a big sausage fest in San Antonio. I go to these bars in San Antonio and, trying to test my luck of sorts. And you know what? Everywhere I turn, just dudes everywhere. And the girls that were there were with guys. It was pretty disappointing. But other than that, I had a great time. Now, as far as the Browns go, I believe what you're actually referring to is Wyatt Teller, the offensive guard that has been rumored to be shopped. And we did a video on this a couple of weeks ago. I don't think you have to give up a ton. I think he comes in and he's your starting guard and would be a great upgrade. I know some people don't like that he has history with Uchenna Nwosu, a little dirty play that happened in the preseason that got Nwosu hurt. But I think you can work through that. I'd be open to bringing in Wyatt Teller there. Thanks, Myron. And then we got a $50 super chat from John Smith. Let's go, John. I see you. John Smith, the godfather of Seahawks Today. He is not the biological father of Tyler Smith, the former producer of this program, for the record. He says, do you think the combination of cap space and draft capital could mean a big trade? Agreed. Asante Samuel Jr. being available does seem crazy unless they have another move up their sleeve. I love the idea of Samuel, Woolen, and Spoon defensive backfield. All right. So there's a couple things to dissect there. First off, thanks for the super chat, John. Combination of cap space and draft capital could mean a big trade. Yeah, you got 10 draft picks, and you got about $35 million in cap space. Yes, I think a big trade could certainly happen. What will it be? We'll see. But yes, a trade is certainly within the realm of possibility. At the time of this recording, Asante Samuel Jr. is still unsigned. I would take him in a heartbeat, and I would start him at outside corner, opposite of Rick Woolen, playing with Devin Witherspoon, Josh Joe backing him up. I think you'd be in great shape. I think the corner room would be very solid at that point, and you'd have some real depth. I think it makes a ton of sense, John Smith. Salute to you, my guy. Folks, you may be wondering, man, this mailbag, I love it. I got a question for Tyler Jones that I want to ask him. Well, here's how you do it, folks. If you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, hit that little noti bell, you'll be the first to know when we have new content here on Seahawks Today. As we're posting our daily news and rumors, we have our live shows at Mondays and Wednesdays. We do these mailbags every Wednesday where people ask us questions in real time, and we respond to them. We react accordingly. You got to be subscribed, and you got to turn on notifications. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV. Join the Noti Gang. If you're part of that Noti Gang that's got their notifications turned on, spam Noti Gang in the comments section, and we certainly would appreciate it. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV to subscribe now and turn on notifications. Hawks forever, writes in. Fearless leader, I need to know. Could the Seahawks trade for Trey Hendrickson? First off, it is my honor and privilege to be your fearless leader each and every day here on Seahawks Today. So, yes, salute to you, Hawks forever. Trey Hendrickson. So it's an interesting situation there in Cincinnati. They have spent a lot of money on Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and that defense is cheeks as a result. The Bengals would be an awesome Big 12 team. They could put up points and can't play defense. Maybe Zach Taylor's going to be the next head coach at Texas Tech at this rate. With that said, Trey Hendrickson, he wants to get paid. At the time of this recording, it does not seem like there's any progress on him getting paid. I think it would be a damn shame if they do not end up paying him there in Cincinnati, especially with how bad that defense is. I would rather pay Trey Hendrickson than T. Higgins, if given the choice, but they made their bed. Now they got to sleep in it. 17.5 sacks back-to-back seasons, 8 sacks in 2022, 14 sacks in 2021. He would be awesome. He would be great in Seattle. But that asking price might be a little steep. Might be a little too steep. I know there's been some rumblings about Seattle potentially being interested. I know Mike McDonald would love to have him. But at least as of now, I don't see it happening. But stay tuned. Never say never. Should the Seahawks trade for Trey Hendrickson? That's our pinned comment today. T for trade, P for pass. Way in the comments section, tell me if you think they should trade for Trey Hendrickson or not. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time is the place to go for the best seats. The lowest prices guaranteed. Whether you're looking for tickets to sporting events, concerts, theater productions, comedy shows, and more, Game Time's got you covered. Game Time makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Game Time is the official ticket marketplace of Seahawks Today. They have their last-minute deals where you can save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy shows, theater productions, and more. Game Time Picks makes last-minute ticket buying even easier than ever by quickly highlighting the best deals in the stadium. They have their zone deals where you save even more when you choose a section and Game Time chooses the seats. They have their all-in pricing. You toggle this feature, and it'll show you the total up front. No surprise fees at checkout. They also have their seat views, where you can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. The lowest price is guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Maybe you want to get out to T-Mobile Park to see your Seattle Mariners. Love that stadium, by the way. I've been to several Mariner games over the years, had great experience, and you can have a great experience seeing the Mariners or whatever events in Seattle with Game Time and save a ton of money on Game Time, my friends. Take the guesswork out of buying with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code ChatSports, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT. SPRTS for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Game Time, proud partner of Seattle Seahawks Today. Johnny be good. Johnny be good writes in. Could the Seahawks trade for Quay Walker? Quay Walker of the Green Bay Packers. Coming off 3 straight seasons with over 100 tackles. The former Georgia star has been very, very good. I'll tell you what. I would probably say no. Had Seattle not re-signed Ernest Jones, I think they would be giving Green Bay a call to inquire about Quay Walker. But I think, at least as of right now, and time is relative, things could change, Seattle seems pretty comfortable with Ernest Jones and Tyrese Knight as your starting linebackers inside. But if something were to change for whatever reason, Quay Walker could be a potential option to play alongside Ernest Jones. But I like Quay Walker a lot. I think that he's been very good for Green Bay. I think he's a terrific young talent. But I just don't see that being the biggest priority for what Seattle is looking for at this point. So I would say no. I don't think that they're going to trade for Quay Walker. It's not a knock on him. It's just more so Seattle has other things that are more important to address right now. Should the Seahawks trade for Quay Walker? Two options here. Type Y for yes, in for no. Your chance to be John Schneider, and let us know if they should trade for Quay Walker or not. All right, time for a few more questions. Let's start with the Boskin, who writes in, best cover corner to draft in the second round. Ooh, can I introduce you to Siobhan Revel from East Carolina? He's been mocked to the Seahawks a couple times. He's a very good coverage corner. If Harrison from Kentucky, if he slides, and that's a possibility, he's borderline first or second round, I could see that as an option. Those are two names. And Seattle's got 2 second-round picks. So maybe they use one on a corner. I think there's a pretty good chance that happens, but Revel would be the one in particular. He was injured this past season, but prior to the injury, he looked like one of the best corners in college football, an All-American, a freak athlete. That's the name I'd be watching for there, Boskin. Aaron Vermouth writes in, should we trade up for Warren or Loveland? I would be very tempted. I would love the idea of either one, especially Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren might be my favorite player in this draft. Seattle's got a big need at the tight end spot. They're changing up this offense where the tight end is going to be more important than ever before. And I see a lot of people in the chat. Every time I bring up Tyler Warren, they say to me, we don't need a tight end, we need linemen. Tight end is on the offensive line, geniuses. Tyler Warren would change this offense completely in the receiving game, in the blocking game. I like the idea. I'm very curious of the cost because some people have Tyler Warren going top 10. A lot of people have Colston Loveland going top 15. So depends on the price, depends on how the board works out, but I'd be very fascinating. I would be open to the idea, Aaron. I think you might be onto something. Do I think it will happen? Probably not, but we'll see. Last question. The Boskin writes in, how long will John Schneider survive if he doesn't draft an O lineman in the first 3 picks? So, the answer would be if he doesn't draft an O lineman in the first 3 picks, then we're all in trouble. Everybody's screwed, and John Schneider's getting fired at some point, if that's the case. But basically, I think it comes down to this with our old boy John. If they do not fix this offensive line, if they don't get it right this offseason, which is certainly possible, John's gone. He's fired. That's the assignment ahead for John Schneider over the rest of this offseason with this second wave of free agency, potential trades and the draft and all that. He's got to get the offensive line right. This offensive line's been bad for years. They've gotten worse every single year. Last year, I would argue, that was the worst offensive line in the history of the Seattle Seahawks franchise. It was that bad. And it's the only thing holding Seattle back from being a playoff team. If they can get the offensive line figured out, this team has no excuse not to be a playoff team next year. So, John, clock is ticking. We're waiting. Draft, free agency, whatever it may be. Get the offensive lineman. We want it, and we want it now. Do it. For continuing Seahawks coverage, subscribe now to Seattle Seahawks Today. We got you covered each and every day on the channel for free. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. Turn on notifications. Lock us in. I am your fearless leader, Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time here on the channel.